By the mid-2000s, there were many subgenres of punk and hardcore in the Nardcore scene. You had Vendetta, Violation, Downpresser, and Retaliate playing modern metal-influenced roots hardcore. You had the street punk scene with bands like The Last Priority. You had stony bands on all sides of the spectrum, from Annihilation Time and Blasting Concept channeling 70s rock, to The Fucking Wrath channeling a mix of Black Sabbath and Discharge, to Charman, who channeled Chuck Berry as the Surfing Bird. Glass and Ashes were a part of the No Idea record scene that was bubbling up at that moment. 2006 saw the release of Retaliate's first LP, along with the Violation demo and the Downpresser demo. This was also the year the Warriors would release their second LP, Beyond the Noise. They would become a national touring act and one of the biggest drawing hardcore bands in the 805 area. Vendetta released their second CD in 2007, titled Time Will Tell, and Violation released a 7-inch called Possessed. Violation followed up the 7-inch with an LP titled Devoured the following year. They would also play shows on the East Coast. Downpresser put out a 12-inch called Perverted Justice in 2008 as well, and followed up with two 7-inches in 2009, a split 7-inch with Creatures, and a 7-inch titled Age of Ignorance. Downpresser became one of the most significant bands to ever come out of the 805, putting out a slew of albums and doing many national tours, as well as touring Europe. Dry Rot released their first 7-inch in 2006. It was an early release on the Ventura-based label Cold Vomit that would put out a slew of releases in years to come. Dry Rot would put out a handful more releases themselves, included an LP in 2009 on Parts Unknown Records. Many shows of this era took place at the Alpine in Ventura. The Alpine was also the location of the first and second installments of the Sound and Fury Festival. 2007 also saw The Fucking Wrath release their first LP, Season of Evil, and Glass and Ashes put out their self-titled LP. They would both tour together that year. It also gave us the final release from Hit the Deck. That year, they released their CD, Walking Backwards, following up a self-titled 7-inch in 2003 and a CD called Look Alive in 2004. In 2008, Doggins released their LP, The Butcher. Total Resistance released their CD, A Dying Scene. And Annihilation Time released their third and final LP, 3, Tales of the Ancient Age. 2009 also saw the third installment of Sound and Fury take place at what was formerly known the Skate Palace in Wainimi. In 2009, Tony Cortez, along with Burning Tree Records, released the Nardcore 30 Years Later compilation, featuring the first Ill Repute song in over 10 years, plus the return of Dr. No and Rat Pack, plus other bands like The Last Priority, Doggins, Keep Fighting, Retaliate, and Blasting Concept. Dr. No also released a record in 2009 titled Killing for God. 2009 was also the year of the first In Control reunion in Ventura. There were lots of shows at a club in El Rio called The Lab. Retaliate released their second LP, We Are One, in 2009 and would play Sweden in 2010. In 2011, they released their third LP, Thorns Without a Rose. 2009 would see the release of the Rad 7-inch Sadist/Masochist and the Minus demo. Members of these two bands would also form Fell Too Low. That band would release 2 10-inches and 2 7-inches over the next several years before putting out an LP on Revelation Records in 2015. Over the next couple years, Minus would release a self-titled LP, a 7-inch titled Hard Feelings, and split 7-inches with Soul Search and War Brain. Nails put out their first release in 2009, a 12-inch titled Obscene Humanity. They'd follow that with an LP, Unsilent Death, and go on to be one of the most notable extreme music acts of the 2010s. In 2010, Stop Breathing would release their self-titled 7-inch. They would follow it up with a self-titled LP in 2012 and a 7-inch in 2013 before their final release in 2015. 2010 also saw the release of the self-titled Blasting Concept 12-inch, the Dog Inn's Pure Hate 7-inch, and the Fucking Wrath LP Terra Fire. 2011 saw Shattered Badge form from the ashes of The Last Priority and put out an LP titled First Offense. 2011 also saw No Motive, Winterlong 12-inch, Charman, Barning the West LP, Blasting Concept, self-titled 7-inch, The Fucking Wrath, Valley of the Serpent Soul. 2011 was also the year that El Rio power violence band Sordo released their first tape, a split with Cancer Patient out of Los Angeles. They would go on to put out more than 20 releases in the ensuing years. Many of the shows in the early 2010s were at Rock City Studios, an all-ages club in Camarillo. There were also a ton of shows at a bar in Ventura named Billy O's. Some other significant places for shows in the early 2010s. Fresh Mex in Oxnard. The Library in Carpinteria. And Zoe's in Ventura. 2012 gave us the debut CD from Out of Trust, titled Healthy, Loud, and Honest, as well as a self-titled 7-inch by Never Meant on Camel Clutch Records. It also gave us the first release from Messenger, a self-titled tape on Burger Records. They would go on to put out a slew of releases on that label, as well as tour the US and Europe. In 2012, Treacherous Skin released a 7-inch called Smother Earth, following up their demo from the previous year. The following year, they'd release a split 7-inch with Nomads. Members later went on to form Dead Heat and join Downpresser and Twitching Tongues. 2012 was also the year Souvenirs released their first 7-inch, titled Tired of Defending You. They would release 3 LPs over the next decade and tour nationally. In 2012, Retaliate also appeared on the debut episode of The Eric Andre Show. 2013 saw the first annual Nardfest take place at Ventura Theater. It returned again in 2014 and also in 2015. 2013 was also a busy year for death rock revivalists Catholic Spit, who released a 7-inch, a split 7-inch, and an LP that year. In 2014, Covered in Scars released their self-titled CD on Oxnard label, So This Is Progress. On April 7th, 2014, the mayor of Port Hueneme declared a proclamation recognizing the band Ill Repute for their achievements, and thus Ill Repute Day was born. In 2015, Blasting Concept released an LP titled Sloth Rocket, Retaliate released a self-titled 7-inch, and Constant Fear released their LP, Drone Kill.